Hey guys, sorry it's been a while since I've made a video. I was very sick, and this morning I woke up and one of my eyes was almost swollen shut. So if I look a little wonky, that's probably it. I haven't gone unscripted in a while, although I do have a little outline in front of me. Outside of my podcast, I just really wanted to have a candid conversation with you about technology and YouTube, the political environment, and how this is not just affecting my life, but it's affecting your life too. I'm having a hard time making videos. I'm feeling really uninspired, hopeless about our political climate, our demographic situation. Most of my favorite YouTubers have turned out to be really big disappointments, and they're blinded by civic nationalism. So I'm not getting as inspired by other people's content as I used to be. I don't feel like there's this community spirit here. And I have a graveyard of unfinished scripts and halfway done videos that are never going to see the light of day because they're terrible. To get to a level of confidence where I feel okay sharing a video with the world, I have to be connected to it in some sort of way. I have to feel passionate, or at a minimum, feel a duty to release it. I've been thinking about what it used to feel like when I created content. It was so much easier. There was more motivation, more anger. I felt like I had a mission that overtook my fear and my trepidation that this might accidentally make me famous, which has always been a huge fear of mine. I used to lie in bed when I was a kid and think about what actual fame would be like, not this fleeting internet celebrity. And it always terrified me to the core. Not having anonymity as a cloak, not being able to slip into that feeling that no one around you knows you anyway, so why does it matter what you look like? But I did feel safe making a YouTube channel because even if you get really big, we aren't looking at the same kind of Hollywood fame, for example, that makes it impossible to live a normal life. Jenna Marbles probably lives a normal life, but Jennifer Lawrence, she never will. I don't want to lose subscribers, but I'm constantly worried about what may happen if the channel explodes, so I do try to control the growth. I don't put out nearly as much content as I could. I'm not as controversial as I want to be. Baked Alaska told me the other day that he gets recognized on most days. And I'm really afraid that that's going to happen. But at what point, how many subscribers does that even happen? This is all a guessing game for me. And as I edge closer to 100,000, I get meeker. I'm more afraid to leave the house. And I'm actually, contrary to popular belief, considerably less controversial than I used to be. It really is only a matter of time before a leftist recognizes and confronts me in the street, maybe comes to my home, and I know it's going to be hostile. Part of me is always waiting for this. It's in the back of my mind when I walk my dogs or I go to the grocery store. It makes me want to be invisible. Since the Twitter ban, I really started to see how much the edges between real life and my online life were blurred. It's like I live in virtual reality sometimes. I kind of wake up in a daze and do my normal IRL stuff that I have to. Then I spend all this time working on my other life that exists in this tiny little box where thousands of people know me and I don't know them. And it's the strangest thing. I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm so happy that you've subscribed and my channel has grown, but I was not mentally prepared for what this would be like. And even though I'm happy to have done it, and I'm not joking when I say that I am truly grateful for each and every one of you, if I knew then what I know now, I definitely would not have started the channel. When my real life and my online life meet, like when somebody recognizes me, it's such a weird and jarring experience because in my mind, these are totally separate entities, and that's kind of how I cope with it. I have a crippling fear of public speaking. I'm not joking. It's like death public speaking. This is actually very unnatural for me, and the only way I get through it is just by lying to myself about my audience size and how many people my videos are really reaching. To me, it's exclusively numerical. It's just ticking numbers. I have to think about it like that because if I imagine myself speaking to an audience of 85,000 people, it would cripple me so much that I would be motionless. But maybe that's why I've had a hard time producing content lately. It's getting harder and harder to just see these views and subscribers as a number, as these two worlds of mine continue to collide. I never wanted to be a thought leader or a community leader. I always wanted to play a supporting role on YouTube and help lead people to better channels like Black Pigeon Speaks or Stefan Molyneux. Also, this has been an outlet for me because I'm so uncomfortable in my real life environment of Seattle, and I felt like if I didn't do some venting, I might actually physically explode. I know that my case is amplified, but we really do have to think about what screen time and social media are going to do to our kids. I'm thinking after this that my future children just can't have any of it. It creates an empty and hollow life and makes people lose empathy and develop a celebrity level of narcissism despite being ordinary people like me. I cannot let that happen to my kids, especially if I have daughters. I think social media is just destroying women. And God help me if my own minor internet celebrity damages their lives. So I'm feeling like things are pretty bleak, but it might be my personal circumstances, not society as a whole. But it can't help my situation to be surrounded by all these fat feminists and soy boys, all the homelessness, heroin addiction. I feel so isolated and I have a literal countdown until we move, but it just seems so far off. I'm also having a hard time focusing on my content because I know that in just a few months' time, basically everything about my life is going to change. I am really focused on that and on preparing for that. Not to say that I'm going to quit the channel or anything. You guys know that I don't know what I'm going to do about this when I have kids. From a logistical perspective, there's no reason that I can't do it as far as time is concerned. It's just that at this point in time, I'm still so overwhelmed with having any sort of public persona that I don't know how it's going to play out. It's becoming more obvious to me every day that I'm not like Faith Goldy, I'm not like Lauren Southern, I'm not like Ann Coulter. They seem to be in a league above me and are just braver and more self-assured. I don't think that I'll ever graduate to that if it hasn't happened already. The bulk of my work would have energized me and made me stronger, but really I just want to retreat to a little life where I can make a lovely home for my family. And that consumes so much of my mental energy. I'm not very confident in my ability to be resilient to criticism when kids have made me a softer person, and there will be other people involved at that point. My family shouldn't have to deal with the fallout from my job, and I am clearly not doing a very good job effectively separating these worlds and living a normal life away from my channel. It isn't going to be about me anymore, and that will be a welcome change, but I also have no reason to think that I can juggle both of these lives if I'm struggling with it now and I just have the one. Like I said, my case is amplified because I have a YouTube channel, but this really does affect all of us. If we're being honest, really honest, how much screen time are we actually engaging in? With my channel and everything at this point, I've got to say that for me, it's probably 70 to 80 hours a week. There is no way that that is not psychologically damaging. It is totally unnatural. I feel like shit. Like I'm not living a normal life. Like I'm living a surrogate life, even though I am authentically me on my channel. For me, my discomfort with this isn't about chasing likes or views. I'm not getting these little dopamine hits from likes and shares. I left that part of social media addiction behind years ago when I got rid of all of my personal accounts. It's this responsibility, like, what am I going to use my platform for? Now I feel like I have a real and tangible moral obligation to use it to help make people's lives better, or at least easier in some way. And I don't think I felt like that when it was so small that I was just completely inconsequential. As a result, this has really throttled my content. At least I think that that's probably the problem. Maybe it's multifactorial and it has to do with feeling like I've been betrayed by my president and the people of my country. I feel like Trump has gone totally rogue on immigration, and even though I am really trying to take a wait and see approach, I am just not feeling the urgency anymore. I feel like, why should I even bother? I helped get this asshole elected so that he could shirk his single biggest duty, which is expelling foreign invaders from the country and preventing our demographic demise. Now I see that my efforts were likely all for naught. It just tells me that this seems pointless and that I need to focus on my own future and my own family. I don't mean to sound black-pilled. You guys have been so wonderful and supportive, but I thought that I owed you an explanation. This is my job. I owe it to you to do a good job, and I just wanted to share with you why I'm struggling to do that. I have lost a lot of faith in the country. Think about what would need to be changed. Maybe we live in an evil country. I'm starting to feel like we can't salvage much. Look at what we would have to topple. The media, the bulk of the federal government, demographic demise, the banking sector, liberal-controlled tech companies. We would have to deport tens of millions of people. Maybe our only option is to retreat to the land, places like the Midwest, and start living self-sufficient lives and rallying for when we may be able to instill some of the constitutional values that used to dictate our country in a new society, or a society that we have to take back. Maybe we have to just let things play out and get worse. All of these regions filled with leftists and Mexicans, maybe we just need to balkanize completely. Maybe all of this anxiety I'm having is because I know in my heart that my children and probably their children are going to have a harder life than I have. And maybe Trump will surprise me too. And it's also likely that this is just part of the natural ebbs and flows of doing a channel. I remember feeling like this before, but it hasn't lasted so long. It's been about 3 months I've been feeling this way. Normally, I probably would have rallied by now, but I just feel depleted and really unhappy. In the interim, before I can move and start having babies, I have to find what inspired me before and reconnect with that. Create content that interests me, but also provides real value to my audience. The video that was supposed to get made today is about women improving their value to society. It's scripted, it's ready to go, so that's going to be the next one, and I'll release that on Friday. So I'm sorry if I bummed you out. I know this was a little pessimistic, but I do feel compelled to keep you guys clued in with what's going on and why I'm having a hard time creating content. And this channel is my ideological progression, and I want to show you that it's not all optimism and hope for the future, that sometimes I do feel hopeless and I feel like we can't get out of this. We've created a situation that's going to be impossible to reverse. And that's really how I feel right now. I feel really black-pilled. So I hope that you can give me some uplifting comments and some hope for the future. And maybe it's just that I'm in the dead of winter and I'm internalizing all this Seattle nonsense and this isn't the actual reality of the world that we live in. I would really like to hear from you guys about that if you have some uplifting morsels to throw my way. Thanks, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye.